So this meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by committee members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count towards quorum. The meeting will broadcast live and be recorded on ECAT. To use Zoom, you'll need to use the link on the agenda or download the Zoom application. Here comes Beth. While conducting meetings remotely, we'll endeavor to keep meeting operations as close to standard procedures as possible. However, use of the platform will necessitate some additional meeting protocols. While committee members and applicants will be on video and audio, public participants will join the webinar as attendees, meaning they're muted with no video feed. During any public portion of the meeting, members of the public can be recognized by using the raise hand function or make a request with the Q&A function. And if you're joining only by phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand. And if an applicant wishes to display materials, please make the request to the chair and email the materials to the committee for sharing on screen. And then when starting testimony, please state your name and address for the record. Oh, Kristen's joining us. As in any public meeting, indecent behavior will not be tolerated, and anyone who abuses use of the meeting platform will be terminated from the meeting. And business will be conducted and handled based on the times indicated on the agenda, and business not concluded in the allotted time will be tabled to the end of the meeting to allow for timely logins and remote attendance. Committee members are asked to announce themselves when making a motion and second, so that it'll be clear to the audience and minute takers who made motions, and all votes will be by roll call. When all business indicated on the agenda has been completed, the members will vote to adjourn the meeting, signaling the end of the meeting and the termination of the ECAT recording. All participants will be disconnected from the webinar at that time. Looks, everybody just joined. No one wants to hear my spiel. That's really what it comes down to. I get it. I'm not offended, guys. All right. So it looks like we definitely have quorum. Can I go ahead and get the meeting started? Okay, let's see. Who do we have? Chan is here.
Devonshire here.
Durant's here.
Emmons here.
Erringer here.
Oster here.
Gershman here. Amy Gershman.
Emma Gershman here.
Kristen Hay here.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Kelly Persuker.
Thank you, Kelly. Michelle, did we catch you?
Yep, I work after Beth.
Okay, I'm blanking out. All right. So we're gonna call the meeting to order. It's 6:33 p.m. And the first item on the agenda is to review and approve minutes. Kelly sent those out soon after our February meeting. I think, Kelly, the only update that I saw was, gosh, I thought I wrote myself some notes. Sorry, 1 second. Maybe not. Is it, maybe Amy, I had a note. Is it Kirsty from the NRT? Is that who we were working with around?
Yes.
STEAM? Okay,
Yep,
it is.
Kirsty.
Okay.
I can double check and make sure it's spelled correctly or send Kelly the name.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah, just email me, Amy, and I'll correct it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Motion to approve with that change.
Second, France. Sorry.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Kathy. All right, so we have approval of the minutes from our February meeting. Chance, yes?
Devonshire, yes.
Durant's yes.
Emmons, yes. Oster, yes.
Erringer, yes.
Oster, yes.
Gershman, yes.
Emma Gershman, yes.
Kristen Hay, yes.
Garcia, yes.
All right, we can go ahead and approve those minutes. Thank you again, Kelly. All right, the next item on our agenda is the HRC collaboration. And I know, Beth, do you need a minute or two? Or are you good to speak? Do you want to provide an update on the DEIA activities?
Sure, I'm in the car, but I have to go pick up Jack. I know the DEIA group at the middle school, they're looking to get that started. There's also a meeting, I think, next week with the DEIA group at the high school. The superintendent's advisory committee got postponed this month because there was the speaker last night. It's Tuesday. And in its place, there was the opportunity. Carol's asked some questions. Craig Davidson asked some questions. And I forget the woman, I apologize. For media, I asked the question, so it was more of a community forum. Unfortunately, there were only about 5-6 women who were there. Who they just asked what could those departments be doing better. And what we want from those departments. I reached out to Carol's prior to that meeting and said, hey, happy to have you come and talk to us. I also emailed Craig's office today. I'm happy to do the same with the technology person, but might not fall within our kind of purview, but still happy to do that. So that's the update that I have. They're just going around to different focus groups and gathering data as much as they can.
Okay, thank you. And
Yeah.
Kelly, I don't know, do you have a little bit more around, I know the schools have been doing some kind of special assemblies with a speaker this week. Do you have any additional information around that to share with the group? Did we lose Kelly?
I can jump in. I wasn't able to go, but the feedback
Did hear
I've
it.
heard has been mixed.
Okay,
I don't know if you have any like specific questions, but I mean, I saw the speaker. Like,
okay. So the speaker went to the high school as well. I know that they went to the
Yeah.
middle school.
yeah, they did the middle school, the high school, and then they did like a parents and others afterwards. I'm not sure how many people attended that because you couldn't go a second time if you had already gone like during the school day. I thought he was good.
What was the context, Emma? What was the speaker's kind of message?
It was definitely just inclusivity in general. There was a lot of different topics discussed. There was mental health, there was race, there was, genders, there was, like along that lines, like appearances, different like stereotypes, like in high school, like jocks, like he tried to just, it was actually very interesting. I've never seen anything like it. He brought these costumes with him and he would change in and out of each and like kind of portray like a different like voice and kind of show how the stereotype is like messed up and why we should be inclusive, and pretty much that's it. But he did it with like a few different like characters.
Great, okay. Any other feedback from anyone who heard about the speaker or
I was
participated?
there on Monday for the parent portion. I thought it was very good. It was a little disappointing how poorly attended it is at the parent portion, although I think the school felt like it was an okay turnout. But I do think his messaging was good. Right, there was a bit of like putting on different costumes and different voices, and a bit of his own personal story woven in. It sounded like he felt like he had connected a lot with the students through the process, but I do think it was good. It would be, it was really so focused around sort of challenging thinking and stereotypes, interwoven with sort of his own personal experiences. I don't know if everything that was covered in the parent portion was covered with the kids, but there are pieces of it that were quite heavy, I think eye-opening for everyone involved. So it was definitely, there was a few tears shed in the audience for some of the points that he was making. So it was powerful. It was very unique too. He's an entertaining guy.
Okay, well, great. And when you say poorly attended, Kelly, about how many or so people?
Less than 40.
Okay.
Ellie, I know that they said in the communication that it was going to be one broadcast live for anyone who wanted to log on. I wonder if anyone watched remotely, and that also it would be recorded and distributed. So, like I couldn't go, but I wonder if more people will. I mean, I'll watch it.
Yeah, no, I think it would be powerful for people to watch. And it is the type of thing, it did occur to me leaving. If it is broadcast and shared, is that something that we want to post and share and say, here's a great speaker on different perspectives. So hopefully that is shared because he was very proud. And I think it's important for people to know those types of things that were talked about too, to help carry that message forward. Please don't mind my background noise, our company. I picked up a visitor in our meeting, so.
So, I feel like, and maybe it's a matter of also what kind of communications I'm looking at regularly. So I'm sure that it was in the newsletters for all the schools. Any other additional communication to the parents around this session?
Carol sent it out. So she sent it out. It was through the broadcast from the school messenger system. And it was signed on behalf of each of the principals. And then I know, at least at the middle school level, because that's the newsletter I get, that Mr. Carroll sent it out as a reminder that day for the monthly newsletter.
Okay.
I wonder if in the future, and Kelly, this might be for you to keep in mind, if we hindsight's 2020, right? We could have helped promote it. We could have sent it around to our mail list. We could have sent it to our allies to distribute. Next time, if we have a little bit of lead time, we might be able to help promote it more. Just a thought.
It's a thought that I had too, actually, after leaving, that I wonder if that's something that we want to talk to Carol's about, how we could also rebroadcast some of the things that she's doing to the broader community, because there is such a clear tie-in, and offer her support in that way as well, in terms of what she's doing from the Office of DIA and how we can ensure that we're supporting that team as well. So I think that's a good point.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for the updates. And then I think, last meeting we talked about seeing what RMK was up to. I don't know, Kathy, if you had a chance to connect with the group at all?
I didn't, but Craig, did you? I think you emailed them too.
Craig's on mute.
No, I haven't, but I did send out, I had a correspondence with Denise regarding our lecture series, our listening series, and she wanted to bring it to her board. And that's the last I heard. And I haven't heard anything else from her regards to anything else.
I'll reach out again and try to follow up with them.
Okay. Just to see if there's anything planned in the near future. I know last year we had, was it last year? Yeah, last year we had the Juneteenth event. Was it last year? It was, right? No? It was a year before? No, it was last year where we did the flag raising and yeah.
That was last year.
Yeah, it was last year. Michelle, come on.
There was one though at Queesa House a couple years ago.
Right. I think that was the proclamation one, but I think this one was the one with the town. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if they have anything planned. It's going to be pretty close to Pride as well. I think it would be a few days after. So we may want to see if there's any plans there, Kathy, that we could potentially collaborate on with them. Okay. Any other collaboration activities happening to share with the group?
No, just for full disclosure though, so you mentioned Kirsty from the NRT, and I had emailed her back and said that we would do that STEM event with her. She has since left the NRT. So I will follow up with the board there and see if they're still gonna run the event or, and if they need volunteers. So to be continued.
Okay. Okay, and that was in May, right?
I think so, yeah. I can double
Okay.
check.
I feel like it wasn't too soon.
Yeah, no, there was plenty of time.
Okay. So the HRC Coalition, there is a meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. It's the monthly meeting that they typically hold. I've been attending as I have, time in my schedule. I really don't think I'm going to be able to continue attending. They're at typically at 9 a.m. on a Friday morning on a monthly basis. And it's kind of difficult for me with work to be able to accommodate that. Sorry, it's not tomorrow, it's Friday. So it's Friday, I think at 9 a.m. So I don't know if anybody has any interest in joining, or a few people have interest in joining who may want to rotate participation, but it's a great forum to kind of hear what's happening across other HRCs in the Massachusetts area. There are various subgroups that form based on this larger group. And it's just, honestly, I always feel great after I join the meeting because it's so good to hear so many people focused around DEIA type initiatives in the state. So anyway, if you do have interest, please feel free to reach out to me directly and I'll send you the meeting information. Thank you. There was also another conversation around the toolkit around the statements that we've been talking about, HRC statements and toolkits. I know the group met. It was an evening I was not able to join, unfortunately, but I'm waiting for the meeting minutes and we'll make sure that we review those. They're still kind of working through the matrix. I think we talked about kind of a decision tree opportunity where they would kind of ask questions. Based on those questions and answers, you kind of move on to the next tier of questions and answers, and then determining whether or not a statement is worth making, and then how you would go about making those statements. It's still a subcommittee that's continuing to have conversations. And so next time I'm not able to make the meeting, I'll make sure that I circulate that to the group to see who can possibly join. That one kind of stuck up on me, to be quite honest with you. But again, if you do have interest in that HRC Coalition participation, or the subcommittee for that matter, please just send me a note and I will get you the information. Okay, anything else in terms of collaboration? All right, moving on to events. Craig, you referenced the lecture series. Any update on that?
Kathy was at the lecture series today. I don't know if she wants to. I unfortunately had to keep watching the door, so I didn't get to hear all of what the speaker talked about. But Kathy was there. If she would like to share that, if she doesn't want to, that's fine too.
Sorry. So I attended the lecture series at the Temple. That was held today, just with discussing sort of what's happening in the Middle East, which is what we're thinking about doing for our lecture series going forward. The speaker I thought he was very good. It was very interesting, very engaging. It's a very heavy topic and there are no good answers. But for me, I thought it was fascinating. And I think sharing something like that with the community would be great. He came from the perspective as someone whose parents were from Israel. So I do think that we would want to have somebody else who had another perspective. But I thought overall, the message he gave was really interesting and very positive. well, not positive, but, balanced.
He's a lecturer from MIT. Ron Rubin is his name. I don't know the gentleman. Members of my congregation heard him speak several months ago in Norton at the senior center, I believe, and they were very taken by him. And so they asked if he would come and speak. And I think Kathy's absolutely Kathy's absolutely right. You need to have a balanced approach when you talk about the Mideast. And so we could probably ask him if he would be interested in speaking at one of our listening sessions along with a whole bunch of other people. As soon as we sort of, as Kathy and Beth and I finally pull it all together, it might be worthwhile. I did send Beth something else about another person I heard about. And I just, right now I'm blanking on the name or the connection. But it was a good turnout. There were like 50 some odd people there from a variety of different backgrounds. Both members of the congregation as well as members of the community. Unfortunately, he was a little bit late, got caught in traffic, so his speech went a little bit longer than we anticipated. But I thought it was, from the little bits that I could pick up, I thought it was pretty worthwhile. And all the feedback I got was very positive.
So Craig, you mentioned this is a series. Is there multiple speakers planned or?
This is the fourth in our series, and now we're taking a pause to see what else people are interested in us. We've had a lecture on social justice in Easton by Ed Hands. We had a lecture on from a gentleman who's developed two different businesses and talked about his experiences, which people found fascinating. And then the first one had to do with diabetes, presented by an expert on diabetes. So we're thinking about other kinds of things and I'd be happy to share that with folks as we move along, as those series are created over the next few months.
Didn't you have one on scams?
I'm sorry?
Didn't you also have one on scams, scamming the elderly?
Oh, thank you. You're absolutely right. We did. So that was fascinating. Better Business Bureau came and talked with a group of mostly our seniors about scams, fraud, how to protect yourself. I suggested that maybe she might want to speak to the Lions Club, she might be interested in speaking to a different audience too. Her name was Danielle Bass, I believe, from the Better Business Bureau. She was excellent. She had no papers with her. Nothing. She just spoke and answered questions after she had an opportunity to talk. And I'll tell you, a lot of people were like, "Wow, that happened to me." I got that phone call, or one person indicated that somebody called and they thought it was their grandchild in jail. And that seems to be a big thing now. But it was fascinating to listen to her. And many of us, when we get a phone call, we don't know the number, we don't answer it. So, but a lot of people, they pick up that phone or they respond to an email without checking where it's actually coming from, and get themselves in a lot of trouble. So thank you for reminding me, Kathy.
Yeah, Craig, I think that would be a really good speaker. Beth and I met with Joe Pitti, maybe last week or the week before. And he is the Deputy Director for Health and Community Services, Community Engagement and Programming for the town. And he had mentioned that there are kind of multiple different groups and activities happening, around just lots of different kind of engagement opportunities for the community. including like cooking classes. I'm sure you guys are seeing a lot of the flyers that are going around. But I wonder if that might be a topic, Craig, to bring to him. I'm not sure if that's something that's been done yet for that group, but I know that they're always kind of looking for programming topics. I mean, that might
I
be.
think that would be, it's an excellent suggestion, Karen. I certainly would be happy to reach out to Joe to see if that's something of interest to them as well as our congregation.
Excellent. Okay, perfect. And Kathy, you saw that note, right? He wants to join our allies. Joe Pitty wants to join our allies. Okay.
Right. Do you guys pay for those speakers?
This gentleman, we were able to get for free. I think one of my congregants the one who listened to him speak, was able to cajole him into driving from Cambridge to us for lunch. So we gave him lunch, but that was, we didn't, but he does charge for, usually charges for his presentation.
Thank
The
you.
Better Business Bureau does not charge.
How about the scam lady?
That's the Better Business Bureau. She didn't charge. And we didn't even give her lunch. So that was a pretty good deal.
I heard a lot of people sitting around me talking about how great she was.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in my recent conversations with Deputy Adams, that I just think that topic in general would be really beneficial for a lot of community members in town. So however we could continue to help connect people, I think that would be great, Craig. So I would definitely start with Joe and then, maybe even checking in to see if there are other opportunities for Danielle to speak, or as Kathy fondly calls her, the scam lady. Either one works as well.
I'd be happy to call him. I definitely will do that.
Okay, thank you. Excellent. Anything else? So timing, are we starting to get closer to a time frame for when we want to bring forward that panel or the listening session? Or are we still gauging speakers and such?
Well, when
I
I
just-
spoke to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just emailed both Craig and Kathy, so I think it's a matter of, why don't we try to touch base this week, and then we could probably have a better timeline, but Craig, go ahead, what were you gonna say?
Well, when I spoke to RMK, I said to them that our listening session on extremism, we were looking at September, right, Kathy? Is that what we decided, September? And so that was the one I was focused on with her. And you're right, Beth, we should talk about the earlier one, April, May, whatever we thought about. Do you remember the name of the person I gave you? There was another speaker that was potential for the one on the Middle East.
I don't, I can look through, and I know that somebody from Bridgewater had emailed us. And then I need to send a reminder to touch base with them. I think it was one of those, I'll call you next week, and then I just need to follow up with him because it was a couple weeks ago.
Right. I don't even remember where the other one that I think I sent you, where that came from.
Yeah, I'll look through my emails and see.
Okay. All right.
Emma or Kelly, are there any other conversations happening at the school around these topics at all?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I haven't heard of anything new. I feel like they always kind of say there's stuff in development, but I haven't heard actual specific events or instances that are going to happen anytime soon.
Would there be any clubs that maybe we could connect with who might have interest in, I don't know, partnering when we do kind of get that session off the ground?
Yeah, probably. I think it, depends on once we have finalized of exactly what we are doing. There's a bunch of clubs at OA. Finding the one that would, work like that, I guess, I don't know, finding one that has the same message and goal as as what we're promoting also.
Yeah, okay, so let's keep that in mind, I think, Beth, just as we start to finalize
Yeah.
the speakers and who we want to bring forward, maybe we connect with Emma and see if there's a club at OA that might have interest to help partner.
Yeah, that's helpful. And I had talked briefly to Craig on Monday about the possibility of what Emma had brought up originally or a while ago about a session on mental health. So I think that there's some crossover there. And then I'm just wondering too, so the speaker came on Monday. Is that it, or is there follow-up that's planned to kind of break it down? I'm not quite sure of how it works in the schools. After a speaker, are there additional listening sessions, or is it just, okay, we have the speaker and then that's it? Emma, what's usually what happens?
Well, I honestly did not know about the assembly. Like, I knew I had an assembly, but I had no clue what it was about until I got there. Thankfully, he was good and I learned a lot. And then afterwards, they tend to send out like a survey with very simple questions, just like, do you think he was engaging? Do you think the points he made were valuable and like you learned something? Like literally very bare minimum, because I think they just want the most students to fill it out as possible. And then at night, I'm pretty sure it was that same night, Monday night, they had the parent session and you could go again, but you had to go with someone who hadn't seen it in school. Like you couldn't go a second time yourself, like as a student, which was kind of weird, but like you could go with a parent. And it was available to all other people too.
I didn't see anybody go with a parent. So for what it's worth, I didn't see anybody go with a parent.
Ellie, does the school use the town crier at all for letting people know what's going on? Because I wouldn't be getting anything from the school because I have no kids in school.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think they did. I think the original intent was, and this is where we would have to talk about it, like the intent was to enable parents to understand the messaging that was delivered to the kids that day. And I know there's been feedback in the past of, there was a speaker, parents don't really understand what was said, they can't engage in dialogue. So a lot of his focus was like, this is the dialogue I engage in with kids. But I think given the turnout, it's always worth the conversation. Would we want more community members there to hear such a powerful speaker? I assume the answer would be yes, but we can certainly have the conversation. But I know the initial intent was for parents to understand the messaging that their kids received and be able to dialogue with them about it.
Because I know that the new the assistant town administrator, Sean Dugan, and Elizabeth Hagg of the select board office has redesigned the town crier. It's really easy to read now, and it doesn't repeat things unless you ask for it to be repeated. So it doesn't get this long list. It's much shorter and succinct, and it might be worth, I don't know if the school has an issue about doing that, but it might be an interesting discussion.
Yeah, that's a good point. I will raise it. No reason not to ask.
Yeah, I know that the town crier has gone through an overhaul. Sean Duggan has really tried to make it more easily readable, and instead of, I think it used to be just like a lot of scrolling in the past, trying to make that more simplified. So certainly I think it's increasing in readership, and maybe, would be a good additional marketing opportunity for our events, for school events, for all sorts of things in town. Okay, so Pride. I think maybe that would be what's next. So we have a date. It is it June 15th?
June 15th. Is that official, Karen? Because did we go to the select board and get it voted on?
I didn't think we needed to do that. Did we?
Was that for some particular reason, Amy, or I don't know?
No, I thought we discussed that in the last meeting, and I thought we were waiting for like official approval from the town. I just wondered if you had had any further communication.
No, and I'm,
No.
now I'm starting
I
to
don't
wonder
think so.
about whether I should have picked up on that.
No, I don't think there was any additional activity from that perspective. I think I was probably just supposed to circle back with Connor that was the date that we wanted, but I didn't anticipate having to go to the select board for.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Great. Then it's official.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good on the June 15th date. And we have the location, which is at the center of town. Gosh, I had just texted you, Amy. I was like, oh my gosh, we're 3 months away. It's just so
Yeah, I'll be honest, I was traveling a lot this month, so I'm all in. Like, let's meet next week. I've got a list of questions going ready for John, Morgan, and I was assuming we might need time with the town to ask about contracts and insurance and all that stuff that we do every year. And then also ask them if there's somebody to connect with at DPW, because there's a lot of things like trash and traffic that was kind of built into the NRT process that I don't have the answers to. So let's try to set up time with all those people in the next few weeks and get the ball rolling. And yes, I can send a save the date to the vendors. For sure. I don't have, obviously I don't have info about contracts and stuff like that yet, vendor contracts, but ready to get the ball rolling.
I assume, Amy, that your conversation with John Morgan will answer many of those questions for you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, John's been great. I think we're scheduled to meet with him on the 15th, the morning of the 15th, just to pick his brain a little bit. We're just going to finalize the timing on that. I think it's either going to be at either 8 or 9:30 in the morning. So we can talk to him then. Yeah, and I was just saying, it would be good, I think, to at least send out a note to our kind of favorite vendors and folks who we've worked with in the past, just to save the date. Because again, I think June is going to sneak up on us pretty quickly.
Oh, totally.
And then, gosh, what was the other thing? Yeah, I can connect with, maybe once after we meet with John, we can kind of talk through what additional questions we have for Connor. But we were working with, is it Mary Southworth over at the town last time, Amy?
I don't think she's the most recent contact. There was somebody different, but Mary's been one of the most helpful. So she's got the history of helping us do it. So I can send her a set of questions too, specifically about the insurance and vendor contracts, and see if she responds.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be good, because I remember last time we couldn't finalize the vendor contracts until we had maybe some pieces from the town around that, right? Wasn't there like?
Yeah, I just needed their approval on the language, and they had their lawyers look at it, I think, and stuff like that.
Okay, all right, perfect. Okay, so a subcommittee meeting at some point next week, we think.
Can people do Wednesday? Can I just ask now? That's the best day for me next week.
In the evening?
Yeah.
I can.
Great.
Okay.
I can.
Okay, I'll send an email, and whoever can come would be great.
All right, thank you. And I don't, I think maybe actually too is Emma. I know that there is the Gay Straight Alliance. Is it GSA at the high school? I know that they've participated in the past, but wondering if they want to collaborate with us for Pride as well. Like meaning, help us spread the word, help us be part of the planning if that's of interest to them.
Yeah, I can definitely reach out to them.
Okay.
Yeah. They're pretty small, so I'm just being honest. Like, I'll ask them whatever they want, and I'm sure we can find a way to work with them. But
Let's get in touch with Lisa St. Mary.
Yeah, I know her, but I'm also in the Google Classroom. Like, the actual amount of people in the club is not that much. Like, obviously they can. I'll send them an email and ask whatever they want to do, and I'll just see what they say.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you. Anything else in terms of events?
My only other question is, are there any other organizations in Easton that might want to collaborate on this, the Pride event?
Meaning like some of our vendors that we worked with in the past or different ones?
Well, I don't mean vendors as much as organizations that might,
You mean like the Lions or the Y or?
oh, yeah. Or church, or Pastor Coke, or other people who want to get in, and, because I think the more we collaborate with more people and the more hands-on we have, the better we're gonna do.
I agree. So do we want to go ahead and divide and conquer and kind of do some reach out then?
I would love to say that I would reach out to Pastor Polk, but he's retiring on April 7th.
Oh,
Unfortunately, he was
Wow.
there at the synagogue today, and that's a loss not only for their church, it's a loss for our community too. But people have a right to retire, so you know.
Don't get any ideas. Yeah.
is it, who's replacing him?
There's a whole process, Kathy. You'll have to talk to Julie Johnson, who's the contact person at the church. Because she regaled me with all kinds of steps and processes that they have to go through. And the thought is that they're going to have some temporary people over the next year and then finally settle on somebody. I don't think you're going to find anybody like John Polk.
He
Um,
Agreed.
He's
not retired
fantastic.
yet, and I bet if we reach out to him now, he can at the very least point us in the right direction. I don't think that his passion for the event will change whether he's retired or not, so hopefully he can still give us a little bit of guidance or at least recommend some people who would be willing to volunteer or help out.
all right, I'd be happy to reach out to John and see what his thoughts are.
Okay, great. Yeah, and maybe we can make a list, Kathy, by Wednesday and just do a divide and conquer and see if we could do some reach out.
I bet I have a list somewhere already I can draw from too.
That's right. Actually, I remember in your cool little Tableau thing that you set up. Okay, good deal. And I think now too, since we're going to be right at the center of town, even just some of the like restaurants and vendors right there, we'll probably want to at least reach out to as well.
Maybe the Unity Church, that's right there.
Right, right.
Library.
Certainly the library, like we've done in the past. So I think we can pull a list together by Wednesday and start ticking away at them. I think that would be great.
I wouldn't shy away from the Chamber of Commerce either.
Yes, they're on our list for sure.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a lot of work to do for Pride. So if you are interested or have capacity or just want to make sure we have a good event, please try and join that subcommittee meeting because the more support we get, the better. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Treasury update. Kathy, where are we?
I do not believe there's been any movement since last month. We continue to have $4,126.96.
Thank you. I guess we'll have another meeting before that May activity for STEAM, but we might need to vote, I guess, at the next meeting. I guess maybe Amy, just find out, I guess, if they want HRC attendance and support there. And then we can decide what activity we want to provide, some sort of arts and crafts possibly. And then we can go from there. I started to Google some things and may have shared it. So we'll have a few options, but let's save that for the next meeting so we can finalize how we want to participate in that one. Website updates. I don't think there's been any changes to our website at this point. Once we start to finalize our events, certainly we'll make sure we post them to our website, but I don't think there was any other activity that we had planned, unless I missed something. I know, Amy, one of the things we talked about with Dr. Cabral was once the school's website was kind of up and running and in a good place, that we would maybe point back to some of their resources once they started to populate them. I'm not sure they're quite there yet, but maybe that might be something that we could work with Carol's on if we see an opportunity to do some cross-referencing there.
Yeah, that sounds good. Their website is definitely improving, so I can ask. I'll reach out to Carol's again. I'll email her and just as a reminder to touch base or see if I know that she's busy with some things that were going on, so I can certainly reach back to her this week.
Okay, thank you.
On that same topic, well, slightly different topic, but didn't Carol say she would be interested in coming back in our April or May meeting and talk about what she learned from her surveys and things like that?
Yeah, actually Beth reached out to her this week to see if she would be able to attend this meeting, but she wasn't able to, or I don't think we got a response back. So maybe what we can do is once we finalize the meeting date for April, we can give her some time and make sure that she can attend. And then we'll be able to ask all those questions. Because you're right, I think there was the survey piece. I think also when she first came to us, she had just started in Easton and certainly would be interested in hearing some of the activities and her perspective.
I think also though part of that, the surveys that she's doing now is a year-long project for her.
Okay.
And she'll be working on it all year and not even presenting to schools committee till down the road. So I'm not sure that she would be ready to present.
It might be worth her coming back and asking us some of the questions, because I don't think that they're the exact same from Monday that she had asked us initially. So it might be good just to touch base with her anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Is there anything else that we didn't get to cover? Folks wanted to talk about? We have no public participation. Maybe we can just take a quick look at our calendars for the next meeting date, which would be April 2nd, 6:30 p.m. Any conflicts? Okay. 6:30, April 2nd will be our next meeting. I don't see any additional topics, nothing in the chat. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Don't move, Barger.
Second, Foster.
All right, let's go ahead and
Barger, yes?
Chan, yes.
Devonshire, yes.
Durance, yes?
Emmons, yes?
Berenger, yes.
Foster, yes.
Gershman, yes.
Emma Gershman, yes.
Hey, yes.
Mercier, yes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night,
Good night.
Beth.